Good morning. I'm so excited. It's the first time I've come to y'all live from my cute little RE/MAX office here in Concord, North Carolina, in the Betty Feezer conference room, which, if you're not from the Charlotte region, you have to know that Betty Feezer was truly an icon. In fact, the woman was Pinterest before there was Pinterest. So in the 50s and 60s and into the 70s before she passed, she gave homemaker tips and cooking tips, and she was just generally like the coolest woman who ever lived. So go to YouTube and look at Betty Feezer and you see why I am completely enamored of her. So anyway, this is my conference room because real estate is done at the kitchen table, so we wanted our conference room to be a retro cool kitchen. So anyway, what I had to talk to y'all about this Monday morning stems from the weekend I have had dealing with real estate and frankly with some realtors. And I'm going to say everything I have to say with a lot of love because I'm working on making sure that I love a lot. In fact, my pastor 2 weeks ago, he said forgiveness is a process, not an event. And if y'all have heard me speak in the past week, you know I've said that about 11 times because I'm leaning into that. So anyway, one of the biggest questions that we're getting from, Sharon girl, that was Betty Feezer's stove. Isn't that gorgeous? See, we're going to have a big Betty Feezer open house, by the way. And if you're local and you want to come see it, you can come anytime during business hours and have your picture made in here. And you're going to use the hashtag Betty Feezer because we want to make sure her memory stays alive. So anyway, one of the phone calls that we get a lot when people are thinking about selling their house has to do with, what's your marketing plan? And y'all, realtors don't seem to understand what marketing plans are, which I think is why most consumers don't know what marketing plans are. Y'all seem to think that marketing consists of taking some pictures of a house and sticking it on some websites. I have to be the one to tell y'all that is not marketing. And in fact, my professor from Carolina, Nick Dido, if you went to Keenan Flagler Business School like I did, you remember Nick Dido, he would be hurting somebody real quick if he knew what y'all were doing. So the thing about marketing is this: it's not about getting somebody to buy that house. It's about the developing a demand that reaches the right consumer at the right time. And that's two different things. You're supposed to sell the house. That's what they're hiring you to do. In fact, you're a realtor worth your salt. You're going to actually promote the property that has had somebody call about it. In fact, it aggravates the spit out of me that so many realtors are being told when the phone rings, get a name and a phone number and then carry them on down the street. You know what? If that seller engaged you to sell their property, when the buyer calls in, you ought to find out if they're actually interested in the house they called about. Aloha, Arabelle. I'm going to see y'all in a couple weeks in April here in Honolulu. So here's the 4 P's of marketing. And if you didn't go to business school, welcome to Monday business class, because there's a reason the 4 P's matter when you're talking to someone who's considering selling what is for most people their largest financial instrument. So would y'all please just remember what a big deal it is that you do as realtors. And in fact, normal people out there who like to watch my videos, would you please understand what a big deal your property is? The realtor ought to act like it's a big deal, because it really is. I, for one, my realtors and I on my team, we take it very seriously. In fact, everybody who works on Lee Brown's team has their CRS designation, the highest education available in real estate. Every realtor on my team is a major investor in the realtor party, because we get how important political advocacy is to your largest financial instrument. So back to the 4 P's. The first one is the product. So the property you're selling is the product. And that means if you're preparing it for market, you really got to be talking to your seller clients about staging and preparation and showings and condition. I'm finding that many of my colleagues right now, because they're freaking out over low levels of inventory, are being a little too smooth on condition. And y'all, condition matters, staging matters. We got stats to show you for days about how if you use our preferred stager, your house will sell for more and it will sell faster. This is not rocket science. It's like y'all on your first date. You did not wear sweatpants and a big nasty baggy t-shirt on your first date and then expect to get asked out with a big fat diamond at the end. If you want the big fat diamond, you put on the pearls and your face and a good looking outfit that fits you appropriately, but by the way, doesn't show all your business, because why buy the cow if you get the milk for free? And so that's the first P. The second P in marketing is actually price. So if you're thinking of selling a property, the realtor should be able to give you some good solid advice on pricing. And I'm going to tell you what, if some realtor walks in your door and tries to sell it to you that the price is per square foot, you ought to run them out of your house real quick. run them out of your commercial property and chase them off of your land, because we do not price property per square foot. And if anybody does that again, you as consumers need to get your pitchforks out. Let's run them off, okay? Because that's part of the marketing of your property. Successful marketing means we're going to help you establish a great price. And by the way, just because inventory levels are at record lows in my market and in a lot of markets, but not in every market, you got to know your house did not automatically become gold-plated just because we don't have a lot to sell. So we're going to still give you good pricing advice, but it has still got to appraise, and it's still got to be the right price for the neighborhood in which your property is located. So we're not going to try and steal money from you and take it out of your pocket. But for real, y'all, I don't know why some of y'all think your houses are worth more just because. So our job in marketing, second P, get the price right. The third P is placement. So this is where you want to ask your realtor a lot of good pointed questions. So what are they doing to place your property correctly? Is it on as many websites as possible? Yes, we like to be putting them on a lot of different websites. In fact, the more the merrier, because advertising helps your property get in front of a larger audience, which helps us find the right buyer. I'll tell you a little thing in particular. In North Carolina, we've always had a big influx of Yankees, you know, people from New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. My husband is actually a Yankee, so that's what gives me permission to talk about them. And up north, they have a very high rate on property tax. And so we've talked to a bunch of potential clients who were thinking about moving south in a few years, who've changed their time frames because of tax reform. So knowing that, we're making sure to advertise our listings in front of those potential Yankee buyers, because we actually love Yankees. Their properties cost more up north, and so because they cost more up north, we're glad to help them spend it down here. And in fact, you might be able to do a Dave Ramsey and pay down a little bit, not have so much mortgage, and be responsible with your money and not be in debt. And I know that's a different discussion, but anyway, the fourth P of marketing is promotion. And this is where you should ask your realtor, what's the strategy? So if the strategy consists of, I'm going to take some pictures and stick them into multiple, that is not a strategy. In fact, you need to be demanding professional photography. I've gone off on this rant, and I'm going to keep doing it until people start doing it. If your realtor can't invest in professional photography for your property, don't hire them, because that means they are scrambling to make ends meet. And I'm not belittling somebody who's in a financial pinch, but if they can't pay for photography on your house and spend a couple $100 to present it correctly, what are they going to do when it comes time to negotiation? Do they need the commission more than you need correct advice? These are very important questions to ask when you're thinking about your strategy. And the last thing I will tell y'all, after living through another wild weekend of crazy offers, is please investigate the realtors that you're selecting. And if you're a realtor out there, would you please go on and take your mandatory state continuing education and get the current paperwork for your offer to purchase? If I see one more offer to purchase on the 2010 paperwork, I'm going to lose what's left of my mind. But anyway, that's all I had to say. I hope y'all have a wonderful Monday. Do something better for your real estate business. Consumers, do a better job picking a realtor. And if you're in the Concord or Charlotte market, I mean, really, you should call us, because we would love to interview with you.